Hello, everyone. I'm your host, Simon Oma. I'm here with another episode of Quincy Chronicles, where we discuss the new season free episodes of Thousand Year Blood War. Today, we'll be talking about episode 3, The Dark Arm. So, while there was no Uryu or Ryukin in this episode, there actually is still a lot to talk about and unpack here. Oh boy, there is a lot in this episode, and lots of good emotional stuff happened here. So it picked back up with the world starting to crumble and everybody in trouble, and it went to focus a lot on Jushiro Yukitake, the captain of Squad 13, who's Rukia's captain. He started doing some kind of chant to trying to save the Soul King or stop the world's crumbling, just doing something to keep the worlds from being destroyed by doing this chant. And it went back to show like flashbacks of him and his birth, being born with his sickness and saved from this chant his parents did, with an idol to save his life by giving him power from the Soul King that I guess he's doing the chant now in the present to give the power back to save the king, though it seems like he's going to have to sacrifice his life to do so, which is actually pretty sad. I focused a lot on his childhood, of him being sick. I guess like joining the 13 Court Guard squads. Trying to warn some thugs about not fighting a blind old lady, which I'm not entirely sure if she was actually blind. The thugs called her blind, but I was kind of like a little blind nod in a series since I'm visually impaired myself. So he warned them not to mess with the old lady, and well, the warning was warranted since she like beat them up when the thugs tried to go after her. It showed also quite a bit of Yukitake's relationship with Shinsui. It's like them kind of like becoming friends, doing some sparring together, stuff around Jushiro becoming captain and like not wanting a new lieutenant after Kayan's death. Also a bit of a funny scene where Shinsui took Jushiro to get some sweets that turned out to have alcohol in them, and Jushiro getting all upset because he was going to give them to kids and they had alcohol, and it's actually pretty funny. Something about these newer episodes is like, they're a lot more serious most of the time. You don't see a lot of these fun little humorous moments much anymore, which makes sense because, it's big, giant war everyone's fighting with the Quincy's. But I liked seeing a nice little fun moment here. It was a good bit of a break from all the seriousness. Especially since after it goes back to like Jushiro ending up standing in for the Soul King, but him being like passed out and not, I guess, in control of his body, since he sort of like became the Soul King for a while, though it's only going to be able to last and save the worlds until like he like dies and succumbs to his illness. But Rukia finding out and going to him, since she's his lieutenant now, just like, oh, the emotion she had was just, that was a lot. She was pretty upset, worried about her captain, since, she doesn't want to lose him after losing Kayan. And oh, it was quite a moment. I had some tears there, actually. Yeah, it was so touching seeing Rukia's emotion there. Yubaha and Ichigo and the others are actually pretty confused about how the world stopped shaking and this form that became the Soul King, which is kind of like a dark shadow to like stand in for him and keep the world from breaking and give some time to stop Yuhabaha and save the world. So that was most of the gist of the episode. Then they do like these little poems at the end of each episode, and this one was, oh boy, it was nice. And it's kind of a bit of a preview for the next episode, which is going to be Ryu's big battle against Ichigo, which, oh man, I can't wait for. It's going to be amazing. For this little poem, they had Derek Stephen Prince and Johnny Young Bosk doing it together for Uryu and Ichigo. Oh man, it was so good. I loved hearing them say the poem. I draw my bow, fingers on the star. Against the moon, I thought I left behind. A very nice poem done by Derek Stephen Prince and Johnny Young Bosk. Like their voices over each other, doing it at the same time. Oh, it was so good. Loved it. So yeah, that's the new episode. Jushiro is a pretty good character. I quite enjoy him. His actor in Fazanier Blood War is Alexis Lee, I believe, who's taking over the role from Liam O'Brien, who voiced Jushiro Ukitake in the original anime. So he's not an actor who was able to get back, but Alexis Lee is doing a pretty good job with him and does sound pretty similar for the role. So I'm enjoying it. He's doing a pretty good performance, and yeah, I liked the episode. I found it pretty touching and emotional. And definitely looking forward to episode 4 next week, which is gonna be amazing. As for the regular Bleach episodes, I went through the rest of the season to complete season 1. So I went through episodes 15 to 20, completing the Substitute Soul Reaper arc and the preparations and build up for going to the Soul Society. The first episode was a Cone-centered one where he like runs away, but there's a nice little moment towards the end where Ryu sews and patches up Cone. Ichigo bringing Cone to Uryu in the club room and goading Uryu into doing it, saying that he can't do it because his arms are all bandaged up, which I quite like that scene and find it funny. Just the way Uryu expertly sews up Cone and how dramatic he makes it look always really stuck with me, and I remembered it a lot since like I was a child. I just could picture that scene and recognized it for some reason. I don't know why it stuck with me. Probably just because how cool Uryu is, whipping out his sewing needles to take care of business. I also quite enjoy his enthusiasm for and passion for sewing. How he like talks about it. There's also a little after episode bit where Uryu's complaining about how the producers didn't give him enough time to delve more into his sewing and give Conan an even more fabulous outfit, which I find quite funny. I really enjoy some more of this depth to Uryu's character, seeing him and his passion for sewing, just like some other, like other little things that you get to see in these short little slice of life and filler bits that aren't really done as much now in the newer, more serious era of Thousand Year Blood War during the war, which is fine, but I like seeing these little character developments for Uryu. After that, there was the part where Rukia tries to leave but is found by Renji and Byakuya. Uryu tries to go and save her, making up a lie that he was passing through with a sewing bag, having been to his favorite sewing store. But he really just wanted an excuse to save Rukia without saying he wanted to save Rukia because, well, he didn't want to admit to it. That's the kind of guy Uryu is. But he doesn't like seeing women hurt and attacked by men, and he's pretty chivalrous actually, which is a nice aspect of his character. So so he tried to defend her and gave his name to Renji, saying he is Uryu Ishida and he hates Soul Reapers, and that Renji should know the name of the one who's going to kill him, but unfortunately Uryu gets cut down pretty badly, and Ichigo comes to save the day, or at least try to. He is able to fight against Renji and keep coming back up for more, but Byakuya gets him down pretty fast. Like, you don't even really see it coming. And neither did Ichigo, and he's left there dying as Rukia goes back with them to the Soul Society. So then it's the little bit of a training arc. Ichigo training with Kisuke Urahara to get his Soul Reaper powers back, and this is where we have the beginning of Ichigo becoming a Hollow and going through holification, but don't actually know it's holification yet. You discover that later, but he did actually become part Hollow as well as becoming a Soul Reaper again. Chad and Orihime getting their abilities, training with Yoriichi, who's a cat, and we don't know Yoriichi's identity yet, but that part is, well, I know, and that part's funny. They try to get Uryu to be on board, but he does his own training out by a waterfall, taking out my favorite glove of his that I love because I have it signed by his actor. Uryu doing very intensive training with the Seirin glove, or Seirin Shuto, which is a glove to bring about late stele, an early form of the Quincy Volstandage, or the final form of the Quincy. Unfortunately, Uryu will learn that late stele has a lot of drawbacks and consequences. Well, will learn. He knows this as he's training and decides to put it on to gain the extra powers so he can be strong enough to fight the Soul Reapers and try and get his revenge. As well as saving Rukia, because he does care about her. He just doesn't want to admit that. So he shows up and joins everybody, saying that he is going because, well, he has a score to settle with the Soul Reapers and hates them. But yeah, we finally see him in his traditional Quincy garb, his original Quincy look, with the longer tunic, or more like robes that go all the way down to his ankles, I think, instead of the shorter tunic he wears later. As well as wearing the glove, which is, I love that glove. So he goes through a lot to be able to use it. It's very long, 7 days of consecutive training to be able to control the reishi that can be summoned by the glove, and achieving the final Quincy form of late stele. Again, we'll be seeing that and its consequences later on during the Soul Society arc, but oh boy, lots of great setup here. And concluding the season as we wrap up the Substitute Soul Reaper arc, and we'll pick back up and starting up the Soul Society arc with Ichigo, Chad, Orihime, Uryu, and Yoriichi banding together to save Rukia. So yeah, a lot to go through this week. I really enjoyed wrapping up season 1. I also did see a variation on season one and watching the live action Bleach movie that had quite a few of the actors. Derek Stephen Prince's Uryu is always good to hear. I'm glad he was able to do it. That movie is a lot to discuss on its own, by itself, so I don't know if I'll do that in this video or if I'll give my thoughts on it. I have quite a lot of thoughts on that actually, which I don't know if you guys want to hear it. If you do, please let me know and maybe I'll include that for the next video of these. But yeah, I enjoyed watching episode 3 of Thousand Year Blood War, as well as all the older Bleach episodes. So looking forward to episode 4 of Thousand Year Blood War with Uryu's big moments to shine, getting his full Dige and fighting Ichigo. So we will have a lot to discuss next week, and I hope that you'll all join me for that video and that you enjoyed watching this one. So until we get into the big Uryu moments next week, I'll see you guys next time. Bye.